Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbing with you. He's Jeff Dover, and let's talk football.
College football started today. First game in week 0. It was a great game between Iowa State and Kansas State.
Yeah, we took the over, and for just a fleeting moment, we thought we had it. And then when they went to replay, his elbow was down on the 2-inch line.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's a bad beat because it wasn't.
It's not a bad beat.
No, but it was football's a game of inches, and his elbow was down right before the goal line. But man, if he crossed, then we would have hit the over, and that would have been a great start to the.
It would have been a bad win actually, because no one should have hit the over on that game.
Well, and it was so going into this, my thought for taking the over was that both the Rocco Becht and Avery Johnson are returning QBs. Be able to throw it around a lot. Both teams lost a lot.
Yeah.
But because you have those two accomplished running QBs, and they can also run and throw. Yeah. I thought they'd be able to move the ball more. But Rocco Becht had under 200 yards passing. Was 183 yards passing. He threw for 2 TDs, and it just seemed like both offenses needed to get to the second half before they started clicking.
It was a slog. The beginning of that game was a mess. No one could hold on to the ball. I mean, they couldn't even convert like a simple pitch, like fumbling pitches, so many passes just dropped that hit wide open players right in the hands. Like that first half was a complete mess as far as ball security. What do you have? 4 fumbles in the first half? I think we had there was 2 teams.
Right. There was 4 turnovers and like not only fumbles, but lost fumbles.
4 lost fumbles, a few others that they actually recovered. So, I mean, anybody who watched this game saw how much of a sloppy mess that was. And what do you expect? You're in Ireland. It rains half the year. It was raining so bad they had to repaint the lines on the field at halftime. Yeah. I mean, it was a mess. So, again, some people don't mind these games. It frustrates me because that game would have been so much more fun being in either of the home stadiums and probably a lot nicer weather.
Yeah.
And instead you go there and get this sloppy mess of a game, at least for the first half.
Yeah.
Now, when the rain subsided in the second half, they could actually complete some passes.
Right.
But God, we kind of missed out on half of a game, and it turned into just a sloppy mess for half a game.
I thought that we talked about that in our previous show, like looking at the week 0 preview and the week 1 preview.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to those, go back and listen to those. But it's when it was in Ireland and it was rain, but it was still like the vibe I thought was really good. The crowds were really good. And I was totally fine with this game being there in Ireland. Like I didn't beforehand we talked, I know you would have preferred either at Iowa State or Kansas State, and I was sort of leaning that way too. But once the game started and I saw like how good it was going into it, and especially in the second half, like you said, I thought it felt great. I thoroughly enjoyed the game being there. But they started slow. It was the first game of the season, and it was raining a lot, and the field was a little sloppy. So getting some turnovers at the beginning is normal.
Yeah.
But no, and so the other takeaways from the game, I think Iowa State lost a lot on defense, and they're replacing a lot of people, and the defense looks pretty good. So I think that would, and my favorite defensive line player so far to date in this season is Dominic Orange, the big citrus, which was really wrecking stuff up for Kansas State.
They both run kind of a funky front there, and the D lines seem to dominate most of the game. And maybe that's partly just with the assist from the bad weather. Neither team seemed to be able to run the ball very much effectively at the first half of the game. Kansas State seemed, for most of the game, to have the edge on being able to move the ball like some amount. And obviously they hit that huge play, but it's like you can't bet against Rocco Becht. Like last year, I said this in the preview, he's just the guy who seems to win the game at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And they did it again. They just somehow, as ugly as this was, you're going to bet on Rocco Becht more often than you're not, it seems like. And it's still happening this year, at least with this game.
No, and you're right. And it's the other thing I wanted to look at in this game was Avery Johnson, because last year he had flashes of being unstoppable, like running and throwing. But he just had a lot of turnovers, and they lost 3 games. We had 2 picks in each one. So at least it was a clean game. He had no turnovers, no picks, threw for 2 touchdowns, 273 yards. So, if you're a Kansas State fan, I feel you would be excited seeing this version of Avery Johnson. Like, it looks like he's improved in his second year in now compared to last year.
Yeah, he didn't make any critical errors in this game, and he made some big plays when he needed to. They just didn't have enough big plays to get back into this game at the very end when they really needed to. How many rushing yards did Avery Johnson have?
21.
Yeah, and 270 passing.
Yeah,
that's a legit game.
It is.
That's as ugly as this. You wouldn't even think that after watching this game that there was that many, but they got that massive 80-yard chunk play all at once.
For the touchdown and stuff. Yeah, no, but it was like I said, it was other than because of that one chunk play, is if you look at the average yards per play for Iowa State for all those, like their defense for all those other series, like the defense looked pretty good. So if I'm Iowa State's offense, I'm a little worried about it. Before going into the fourth quarter, I didn't think they were really running the ball very well or passing the ball really well. So I was very concerned until Carson Hanson started,
Hanson turned it on in the fourth quarter there. Now I can't tell if that was just the Kansas State defense getting a little worn down, or if he's just a one cut and go. Whatever it was, he looked more effective of a runner than Sama.
Yeah, he did. And I think it's a combination of those things. I think that's why you stick with the run, right? Like you're giving it,
grind it. Eventually something will give.
Exactly. And the defense is going to get tired. And so, and having because Sama played more in the second and third quarter, and Hanson was fresh and for when the defense didn't look so good. So I think it was a combination of stuff. But Hanson ran for 71 yards. And I think most of that was in the fourth quarter, which is really what put Iowa State in a position to win that game.
Yeah, it was the control that they just controlled that final quarter, like more so than at any point in the game. That's when the offense looked the most in control of the whole game. Yeah. And a couple of ballsy play calls.
Yes, good. That's a great point.
Yeah, a couple of those short yardage plays, and they calling the one to the tight end.
Yep,
and that could have gone for a touchdown. And
I think both teams did that at one point, didn't they? Both teams have a fourth down conversion pass to the tight end,
and then the final one where it was almost the one that he almost scored on, but then they took it away.
Yeah,
that was another ballsy call. So, I mean, good for them for trusting the offense and trusting Becht. And that's the other thing. You're going to call those plays with a quarterback like Becht when maybe your offensive coordinator and coach might not have as much confidence if they don't have a guy who's won that many games and performed that cool in the clutch.
Yep,
the way Becht is. So when they call those plays, and then the guy had to stretch for a couple of those catches, but it worked. And if you've watched Iowa State last year, you bet on Becht at the end of the game to make the play. You just do.
Yeah,
because he was. Again, I was surprised when Becht doesn't make the play at the end of the game. It was happening so frequently.
Yeah, that's a great characteristic to have in a QB. Like someone you can trust, right decision making, and there to execute at the end. The other note that I have here is that this looked like two well-coached teams. Right? Yeah. People were in the right position. There wasn't too many like blown things. Even the time, like that big chunk play by Kansas State, it was clear that the safety just didn't cover it enough. Like
just needed to sink a bit more.
Yeah, so it wasn't the wrong defense. There wasn't a blown coverage. Like he just didn't execute it properly. So and I think for both fan bases for Iowa State and Kansas State, like these look like two well coached teams, and I think for both Kansas State and Iowa State, you're excited for your upcoming season, still going in the Big 12.
Yeah, I don't think this is a black eye for Kansas State or anything.
No.
It was a close game. They seem to be in control for more of the game.
Yeah.
What was the time of possession? Go to team stats there.
Oh, that's a good call.
My guess is Kansas State had the time of possession, but maybe I'm wrong. What do they had there? Oh, no, actually.
No, it's Iowa State
had time of possession too. So
almost 34 minutes, and Kansas State was at 26 minutes.
Guess it was just an illusion. Actually, and Iowa State ended up with more rushing yards too. So, I mean, good for Iowa State for finishing that game, and also for not giving the ball back to Kansas State at the end.
Yeah.
That was huge, because after that big strike, that 80-yard touchdown, you could see that Kansas State probably had some belief that if we get the ball back, we're going to do that again.
Yeah, that was, and that's a classic Matt Campbell, I feel like, coaching decision there. Like calling the right plays, not turning it over, everyone being in the right position. Like there was just a really well coached game, and there was some big coaching decisions there. And that
not going for the field goal, but going for it on fourth down at the end there, and that's the forever debate. Do you just take the points and force them to drive the field for a touchdown, or do you go for it and then seal the game?
Yeah. And if they didn't get the fourth down, obviously he would have been questioned and second guessed and things like that. But if you get the first down, you're still in control. I mean, you're not giving them the ball back, and you could just keep it to end the game, which is what they ended up doing.
Yeah.
So I think that's, and when it was 4th and 3 too. It wasn't. I think that's a very manageable part to get. So, listen, it was a great decision by him, and that's what let them to win the game.
So the Matt Campbell, Rocco Becht thing, there's still some magic there.
Yeah.
Even without Higgins and Noel, there's still something going on that offense. It definitely looked rough for much of the game, but the passing offense came through when it needed to. Like in the biggest moments, there was a lot of ugly plays where they couldn't complete a pass, but their first drive that they scored on, it was 3 complete passes.
Yeah,
for the touchdown, right?
I'm a little worried. If I was an Iowa State fan, I'd be a little worried that we don't have a difference maker in like either receiving or like a tight end or something that like can. I don't know who your go-to person is to get the first down when you need to throw it. So like that's a concern. However, Carson Hanson, the running back 26, and Sama, the running back 24, look pretty good. And if you have a good defense and a solid running game, and you can sort of set up the play action pass or something like that, that is still a recipe to win. But there were times where the passing game looked pedestrian, but
again, I can't put too much weight on that because it was the ball was so slippery and it was hitting people in the hands and dropping it. And I don't know if that's characteristic of those players.
That's a good point about the drops. Does that?
I don't know if there's a stat for that, but I mean, both teams were dropping the ball when it was hitting them right in the hands. Yeah. So I don't know that a Kansas State fan or an Iowa State fan can really make a determination on the quality of their receiving game out of this game, because both quarterbacks were hitting players in the hands routinely and they just could not squeeze the ball. Mm-hmm. I mean, even a pitch. I mean, they fumbled just a pitch. Like, they couldn't catch anything.
That pitch hit him in the face. It was brutal.
Yeah, so, and now one concerning thing with Kansas State is Dylan Edwards. How bad is that injury, whatever it was? As of time of recording, we didn't get an update, so we don't really know exactly what happened to him. But after he fumbled that punt, that was it. Like, he was done for the whole game.
Yeah, had an ankle injury, and then they tried to tape it up, but then never came back. So,
and he's a difference maker on that team, and I think they were expecting him to be a difference maker both on special teams and running. And so that's concerning for Kansas State fans. Like, not only did you lose the game, you might have potentially lost a difference maker for some amount of time here. But again, as the time recording, we don't know what happened or how serious the injury is. Maybe he'll be back next week and it'll all be back to normal. But I'm with you. There should be optimism for both teams. It sucks for K-State, but that doesn't eliminate them from the Big 12 race or anything. Mm-hmm. And overall, they didn't look overwhelmed in that game or anything. Like,
no.
This could have gone either way. That's what we thought. We thought it would be a 3-point game, and we thought it could go either direction.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why we didn't take the point spread, and we thought we had the over. Yeah. And I think we were so close on the over. But it's this was a good game. I mean, I really enjoyed watching this game. I really enjoyed watching this game significantly more than any of the NFL preseason games. And even with he was so sloppy in the beginning, it still was better. Like, it was still more entertaining. Yeah. And they're two really good teams, and it was an evenly matched teams. And Big 12 games are great. We talked a lot about it last year. All the Big 12 games are entertaining, and this one was no different.
It was no different. Yeah, it was down to the wire. It was sloppy or not, I still had a ball watching it.
It was great.
It was great, and they took the over away from us.
The only thing that would have made it better is if we had the over.
As soon as they did the replay and his elbow was down, I thought, oh no, they're just gonna kneel it down. Yeah. There's no reason for them to risk even running it, and so we just watched our bet disappear in 3 kneel downs, and that was it.
Because the only way Iowa State could lose at that point was to give the ball back to Kansas State. So anyway.
You know what? That was obviously it was the right move. Like, clearly they didn't know we had the over. Didn't know we needed that.
Well, we thought it was dead when it was 7-7 at the half, right? So you end up with over 49 and a half. But yeah.
As they were scoring, I was like, don't give me hope. But,
what a good game. Really good game.
I'm so glad that football season's back. And that was a pretty good way to start it off.
It was. And I'm looking forward. I even think Kansas-Fresno State's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
Check in later. We're going to have a review of that game. And also we're going to see if we can catch a bit of the UNLV game as well. So,
now, we know the UNLV game's not going to be a nail-biter, I don't think, but it's the start of the Dan Campbell era and Dan Mullen era, and I'm expecting big things out of UNLV with Mullen.
Absolutely.
So, all right, so I think it's a good place to leave this.
Yeah, it is.
All right, well, that was a great way to start the college season. So for Jeff Dover, I'm John Barban, and that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.